Hello, this is how to install Windows 11 on a QEMU virtual machine using virt. I searched on Google Windows 11 ISO. So the Windows 11 installation medium, the ISO file, can be downloaded gratis from Microsoft. Download Windows 11 disk image ISO or Intel. There's also options for ARM. Confirm. You need to choose the language. We go with English United States. Confirm. And then that's it. This is the ISO 64-bit download. Click and save the ISO. We want to use a virtual hard disk of type virtio and also network interface card of virtio type. These drivers do not exist by default in the Windows 11 ISO, so we will need an extra ISO that contains the drivers for Windows 11. The page that we're after is actually the one with Fedora people. Okay, so fedorapeople.org/groups/virtio/virtio-win direct downloads. You can either search for the newest version in here, which is from September this year, version 0.1285-1, or you can go to the parent directory and in there's going to be a latest virtio. And we're after the ISO file for Windows. So this thing, virtio win 0.1.285.iso file. Or without extension, without a version, just virtio-win.iso. It's the same thing, probably symlink. So in the same directory, I'm going to have the ISO for Windows 11 and the one for virtio drivers for Windows. So we have both ISO files. Let's create a virtual machine. I'm using the virtualization software virt-manager Virtual Machine Manager, which is a graphical user interface application on top of QEMU KVM. I'm on a Linux operating system, Ubuntu 25.10. File, new virtual machine, ISO, forward, browse. I have the directory where I have downloaded the two ISO files available as a media volume for virt-manager. We're going to select the Windows 11 installer ISO, choose volume. It's a huge file, 7 gigabytes. It's not going to fit on a DVD drive. virt-manager automatically selects Windows 11 as the virtual machine template. Forward. Let's make this 10 gigabytes and 8 vCPUs. Let's make this at least 250 gigabytes of NVMe. Windows 11, customize, finish. Okay, so let's see what it selects. So it uses UEFI, not BIOS, the newest motherboard. Probably we need to change the number of cores to be 8. We're going to switch from SATA to virtio for improved speed. The CD-ROM will keep it as SATA. Network interface card, we're going to also go with virtio. So if you just go with the default settings in the Windows 11 virtual machine template from virt-manager, that's going to just work out of the box, which means network interface card Intel 1000 and virtual disk SATA. But I want better speed And for that, I'm going to use virtio drivers for both the storage and the network interface card. The rest of the things remain the same, not changed. It's important to have a TPM because this is checked by the Windows 11 installer. So we can start installing, begin installation button. Okay, so this was the UEFI boot screen, and then it tried to boot from the ISO, and the ISO actually asks you that you press a key such that it actually boots from the DVD-ROM drive. Otherwise, it will try to boot from the virtual hard disk. Okay, and this is the adventurous part. Each time that you install Windows 11, because there's different versions of Windows 11, the ISO that you download from Microsoft will be the newest one. The way of working around the Windows 11 installer will be different. So let's try English United States, install. I don't have a product key. Windows 11 Pro. I have always used Windows Pro. So XP Pro, Professional, Windows 7 Pro, 10 Pro, 11 Pro, etc. Next. I accept. And now I remember that we should have a second SATA CD-ROM drive. Let's see if this thing can be added while the machine is still running. So add hardware, storage, device type, CD-ROM device, bus type, SATA, use a custom image, and the virt-io win ISO, choose volume. Finish. Cannot be attached to a running machine. That's bad news. We're going to stop the virtual machine. Let's make sure it's stopped. And then let's go back through the settings. So on the second CD-ROM, we need to have the virt-io win drivers. On the first CD-ROM drive, we should have the Windows 11 ISO. And then we'll need to specify the boot order. Should be just SATA CD-ROM 1. The rest of the settings remain unchanged, so let's see if we can install. Otherwise, I'll just recreate the virtual machine. I'm pressing enter to boot from the ISO, from the DVD drive. And back from the beginning of the Windows 11 installer wizard. I don't have a product key. Windows 11 Pro. Next. I accept. Okay, it cannot find any disk storage for the virtual machine, and that's expected. We need to load driver from the virt-io e-colon drive. And like this. So e:\AMD64\W11. Install. And now it finds the hard disk for the virtual machine, 250 gigabytes. Next. Install Windows 11, keep nothing. Install. So the hard part of installing Windows is the fact that Windows forces you to not use a local Windows user account, but a online Microsoft account. And also, depending on your virtualization technology, the Windows 11 installer might refuse to run because you're not using the technologies that are minimum required by Windows 11, which is UEFI, and I'm not sure what about the secure boot, and you need a TPM version 2.0. So we'll either these prerequisites are provided by the virtual machine. We'll see if that's the case. If not, we're going to try to work around those limitations also. The installer has restarted the computer once. Let's look a bit at the boot order. So the boot order is not the greatest because it always boots from the CD-ROM. And fortunately, the CD-ROM, if you don't press any key, will try its best to boot from the virtual hard disk. But we should actually change this boot order to make it only ever boot from virtio disk and never from anything else. So this is what we actually want. This is the second reboot. Okay, so this is the place where we might retry a couple of times. Yes. US, skip second, keyboard layout. I don't want to do anything like this. No, I don't want to connect to the networking. I don't want to install the driver. Just want you to accept and continue. So the workaround used to be open a cmd.exe using Shift F10 and then run the executable OOB \bypass nro. So let's see if that thing still works. Shift F10. This is a cmd.exe elevated as administrator. OOBE is a directory in c:\Windows\system32 and bypass nro is an executable with extension cmd. It will restart the computer and then start again the part of the Windows 11 installation wizard. It still tries to boot from the CD-ROM even though we changed the boot order because we did not shut down the computer. So these changes will only apply once you shut down or restart, whatever, shut down the virtual machine. If the virtual machine just restarts, it doesn't apply the settings. Okay, so let's see if that worked. If not, we'll try something else. Okay, and this is what we wanted. Because our network interface card is of type virt-IO, Windows 11 doesn't have kernel mode drivers for those, so it cannot find any way to connect to the internet. There's no network interface card. There's no hardware for connecting to the internet. So it says, I don't have internet, this button. And if it cannot connect to the internet, then it reluctantly agrees to create a Windows local user account, not a Microsoft online account for logging into the computer. Enter your name. Admin. Password. Okay, question. It's a virtual machine. We're not going to lose the password of the user admin. Okay. I probably uncheck everything here. Accept. And it's trying to log into Windows, the Windows desktop as the user admin. And that's it. It created the home account or the home directory for the Windows local user named admin. And we are logged into the graphical user session of that user. We don't have internet yet, so Windows did not manage to install all of the ads, so all of the third-party applications that it wants to install here, such as, I don't know, Netflix or something. So that would be the next step to install the network interface card drivers. So let's do that. Right-click on the Windows Start menu, Device Manager. Ethernet controller, this is the network interface card. Update driver. Browse. Browse. E. Just E. Because it includes subfolders. Red Hat virt-IO Ethernet adapter, correct? And since we're here, let's do the rest. Browse my computer. E : include subfolders. Next. Balloon driver. And the only one other driver that's in other devices, which means that the driver is missing. Update driver. Browse E : include subfolders. Next. And it's the serial driver. I'm not sure what these things do. If you just install the network interface card driver, then it's probably enough. Okay, so let's see what we can do at this point in time. We should actually shut down and create a virtual machine snapshot. So let's see if that works. Shut down. Okay, so in the main toolbar, the tab, the button where it says Manage VM Snapshots, on the left bottom the button with the tooltip create new snapshot. Always the same name after install. Always internal, finish. And now let's go back to the settings, make sure that the boot order is correct. At this point, we have installed all of the virt.io Windows drivers, so there's no need for this CD-ROM drive or for the ISO file. So let's just remove both. Delete. And there's also no need for the ISO file to be in the DVD-ROM drive, so we can clean that up. I have pressed on this button. So back. virt.io for network interface card and for NVMe. The DVD-ROM drive empty and boot order just virt.io disk. Correct. Let's start. We're at the log manager. Password for the user admin. And at this point, we have almost everything working. I'm going to do a minimum of changes in here. So let's edit a bit things. How do we change the task bar? No search box. No task view, no widgets. Taskbar behavior, taskbar alignment left. So it looks like Windows 10. And that should be it here. Next up, we want to... What is this thing? We want to enable the remote desktop protocol server. So right click, system, remote desktop, on. Okay, let's see if our user can connect. So admin already has access to connect remotely using the RDP protocol. It would be a good idea to change the computer name. And let's actually do that. How do we do that? Back to system. Right click on the start menu, system. Okay, so there's two systems. This is actually system about. Advanced system settings, computer name, change. Let's make it use the same name as the virtual machine name, which is Win11. This usually requires that we restart the computer, so let's do that. Okay, at this point, hopefully we can stop using the virtualization software. So let's see if we're at that point. Network interface card, this is the IPv4 address. Since I'm on Linux, I'm going to need a remote desktop protocol client. This is my wiki page and mariusp.github.io. Press end key to go to the end of the page. This is a command line that might work. And we're going to edit it a bit. So the IPv4 address is this one, ending with 239. The username is just admin, not administrator. The rest of the parameters can remain the same. Okay, so local computer, username admin, the initial resolution, width and height, 1080p, IPv4 address, the best protocols, the best speed, local area network. Take the sound from the virtual machine, play it on the host machine, and make it possible to resize the Windows 11 virtual machine by just resizing the window of the X3RDP RDP client. Okay, it complains because the name actually ends with 3, so X3RDP3. Yes. Password of the user admin. And this is it. We're logged in as the user admin. Yeah, resizing doesn't work okay because of the older version of FreeRDP that's shipped by this Linux operating system, Ubuntu 25.10. The workaround is to make the height a bit smaller and then resize the FreeRDP window. This workaround will not be needed in the future. Okay, otherwise we could not see the bottom part of the virtual machine that contains the taskbar and the start menu and the system tray. Okay, at this point what we want to do, probably remove some of the suggested adware. There used to be a setting for suggestions in the start menu. Okay, I want nothing happening in here. So more pins and less recommendations. Nothing has changed. Show recently added, nope. Show recommended files, nope. Show more recommendations. Okay, and the rest I'm just going to remove them manually. LinkedIn, right-click uninstall. Whenever you install a new version of Windows, and you do that twice a year, random Metro-style applications will reappear in Windows and in the Start menu and in Add Remove Programs. Metro-style applications being Microsoft App Store applications. And the rest, I would just remove. How do we do that? Unpin from start a million of times. I actually just want this to be the default view in the Windows Start menu. So when I open the Windows Start menu, it should automatically go to the All button. I also have the search visible by default, so I don't actually really dig through all, but then I don't see random things pinned here, which I never use, such as Edge. I don't use photos or clock or sniping tool or file explorer. Okay, and now if we resize the FreeRDP window, it will resize the Windows 11 resolution correctly. Let's actually find that out. Display resolution, it doesn't say what the actual resolution is. But it's not 1080p, it's 1080p minus the height of the FreeRDP window and the height of the KDE Plasma main panel. Okay, what can we do next? At this point, everybody has their different ways of going about. I'm just going to install a web browser to stop using Microsoft Edge and then install another file manager. So instead of Windows Explorer, I'm going to use Total Commander or Double Commander. And then I'm going to install the rest of the applications that I always use, such as 7-zip and WinMerge, etc. So I have searched for Firefox in Microsoft Edge, all sorts of ads. So the website is firefox.com. Firefox installer.exe is probably an online installer file. Okay, and being an online installer is going to actually download the 100 megabyte installer after you start the application Firefox installer. Okay, other stuff that I have never ever used, OneDrive. You can try to uninstall them, but again, they will appear back when you install the next update version of Windows. So right click on the Windows Start menu, installed apps, and that was OneDrive, search apps, one, and uninstall. This is not a Metro app. Metro apps just uninstall. When you select in here uninstall, it asks, do you really want? And then that's it. Doesn't show any UAC prompt or anything else. There's all sorts of unneeded applications. Clipchamp, I'm not sure what that is. Microsoft News. So this is a Metro app. It just uninstalls, asks you once. If you did not, by mistake, click on the uninstall button, and that's it. Quick Assist, what is that? Weather. Xbox Live. Okay, so the Windows Microsoft Terminal comes pre-installed. The email client by default is Outlook non-classic, so the application that's actually a HTML renderer plus the something similar to Outlook Web Access, the web app. Okay, I don't use Bing, Microsoft 365 Copilot, Media Player, I use SM Player, you might use VLC instead. I don't use Microsoft Teams, Microsoft To Do. But, and these applications, the Metro applications, if you uninstall them, they're just uninstalled for the current user, for the user admin. If you're creating a second local Windows user account, random set of Metro applications will be installed for that user. Okay, so now we have Firefox. Let me customize it. Set as default. Okay, so it Firefox will handle extensions, extensions HTML and HTML, and will be used for the protocols HTTP and HTTPS, which is okay. Import nothing. Why would I import? I just installed a clean virtual machine. Skip. Start browsing. Okay, so my default settings: never show bookmarks toolbar. I don't want this thing. I don't want empty spaces. I'm not sure what this button does. I don't want to sign in. I don't want this thing. And then settings, tabs, blank and blank. Download, always ask. Suggestions, never. And this would be it. And I always use Firefox in incognito mode. Right-click on Firefox, pin to taskbar. Move it on the first position. We don't need Microsoft Edge to be pinned to the taskbar any longer. And right-click on the Firefox icon and new private window. So next up, Firefox was installed, 7-zip, and a file manager. So this is it. This is how to install Windows 11 Pro on a QEMU virtual machine that uses the virt-io drivers for network interface card and for virtual disk. This provides the fastest possible virtual machine on a Linux kernel. So if your host operating system, your operating system that's installed on the hardware is Linux, then your best bet for speed is QEMU with KVM and virt-io. And this is what we have provided. And for various advantages, we're not using the virtualization software to connect to the virtual machine. We're actually connecting through a remote desktop protocol client. In this case, it's FreeRDP. So this makes that copy paste from the host towards the guest works, and the other way around. And if you resize the FreeRDP window to anything you want, then inside the virtual machine there will be no stretching, no scaling, nothing. It's just the Windows 11 resolution will be changed to the size of the rectangle that's inside the FreeRDP remote desktop protocol client window. And then everything's extremely snappy. It's incredibly fast. I can program in this thing. Disk access is fast. The host machine uses NVMe. So this would be it. This is how to install Windows 11 Pro in a QEMU virtual machine using virt-io. Thank you.